The dragon of the Exodus was similar to the dragon of the Apocalypse. It had many heads. The scriptures do not designate the number of heads, but iconographically speaking, there were 7. Isaiah prophesied that Leviathan would reappear during the apocalypse. In other words, the red, 7-headed dragon of Revelation is the Leviathan of the Exodus. The description given by John fits Rahab or Leviathan of the Old Testament. However sparse the description of the dragon of the Exodus is in the Old Testament, we do have other testimony. After all, the nations of the ancient world saw the parting of the sea and the dragon combat and recorded it. The Russian hero rescued the princess by killing a 3-headed dragon, a parallel to Saint Michael saving the woman clothed in the sun by slaying the great red dragon. The clearest and most detailed accounts come from Greek mythology. Heracles, the Greek Hercules, slew the many-headed Hydra as his second labor. The Hydra was a spawn of Typhon, who was also a multi-headed dragon. Like the dragon of John's Revelation, Typhon was killed and cast down to earth. In his theogony, Hesiod described the catastrophic conditions on the earth during the celestial combat between Zeus and Typhon. Now, these conditions are the same as described by the Bible during the Exodus. According to Hesiod, the earth melted like tin. Psalms related that the hills melted like wax at the Exodus. Psalms also recorded that the earth itself melted. Fierce winds created havoc and destruction on sea and on land. The Old Testament also records that there were fierce winds, some sinking ships. These same catastrophes will strike the earth when Michael battles the great red dragon. The accounts of the dragon combat throughout the ancient world testify that the many-headed dragon was defeated by the thunderbolt hurled by the warrior hero. Often, the thunderbolt is depicted as a Vajra, the Hindu version of the thunderbolt. Zeus holds this type of thunderbolt in his hand as he threatens Hydra. In other versions of the story, the hero's thunderbolt is a spear or sword. The archangel Michael carries the sword. Even so, in many depictions, like this stained glass representation, his sword retains its fiery aspect as a thunderbolt. The Bible describes the Lord's thunderbolt as a shining, glittering spear or an arrow or sword. However, having a spear, sword, or arrows doesn't necessarily mean that the Lord or his agent Michael used it against the dragon.